So today I'm finally going to get back to work on these two jointers. The jointer over here is that 6-inch pig from TotalShop that needs to have the cosmoline cleaned off. It needs to have belts and pulleys installed. But there's a few more things I want to do to this. I can't believe I'm going to say this. I need to take the jointer off that stand one more time, which means putting it back on the stand one more time. Hey, do me a favor before you even get into this video. Jump down to the comments below and leave a one-word comment of what you think of this channel. And if your word has already been taken, see if you can come up with another word that means the same thing, whatever it is. It might require you to go to a thesaurus, or another word for that would be a thesaurus. I look forward to your comments. This jointer is just covered in rust, and it's time to deal with that. So the cosmoline, I'm going to deal with mineral spirits. So that's like 30-year-old cosmoline. So I'm planning on wetting down some paper towels and just coating that with the mineral spirits and just let it do its thing for a while. Probably will need to use a razor blade as a scraper. And over here, I'm planning on using evaporust. Again, I'm going to saturate some rags in evaporust and just let them sit. But ultimately, you know the drill. I've done this before. I'm going to sand this down and go through several different grits of Scotch-Brite to get it polished up. Probably use a palm sander to polish it out. And then ultimately, it's going to get coated with Penetrol, Flood brand Penetrol. Now, this was recommended before, and I did another video where I used it on this fence, and I'm shocked at how well it worked. And what I didn't realize, because I've used this product or sold this product for years at a hardware store, was that it can be used as a conditioner on bare or rusted metal. Who knew? And it's right here on the label. So after this gets cleaned off, it's going to get a coat of Penetrol. No more experimenting. The whole thing's going to get coated. Now, I purchased a 6-inch pulley. This is a cast iron pulley. These tend to run very smoothly. And that's going to go on the motor shaft. And then I have a 2-inch cast iron pulley. This is the one that I had to purchase the sleeve for. That's going to go on the jointer itself. As for belts, normally I like to use this red link belt, but if you recall, I installed this on either the power station or the crafter station a while back as a bit of an experiment. I even have one of these on a Mark V across the room that you all don't see. But I bought this at Harbor Freight. They're both basically the same price, about $38 now for 5 feet of this, and these are essentially the same product. I think this one's also made in America. At any rate, this will be the one that I will use. Ultimately, I'm probably going to take the jointer off of this stand and replace it with a bandsaw or some other tool that I find more useful. But hey, we'll just go through this. So here's the website I recommend for figuring out what pulley sizes you need and to get a rough idea of the size belt that you'll need to build. Well, I got the pulley off of that, and from here you can see that it's coming out at an angle. The shaft is, well, it's not coming out at an angle, it's positioned at an angle. And there are slots here that are holding bolts, and this one is seated all the way at the end of the slot, while this one is not. So that means that this motor is set at an angle. So I'll have to loosen the nuts that are on the opposite side of this and pivot this around and lock those nuts in place. This is a bigger deal than I was hoping it would be. All right, so from the bottom side, there are the 2 bolts on this side of the motor mount. And hey, if you've seen 2, you've seen them all. There are the other 2. While we're here, I am curious about the vintage of this motor. Let's see if we can figure that out. Well, that was fortunate that we did that because I just read about the need to oil this motor. So somewhere on here, there's going to be a spot where it requires oil. This is just like the power station. finally have a need for a slotted screwdriver on this. Okay, we'll try one of these. See if we can get this job done. Okay. Take that one off. There we go. Let me see. Any, oh, yep, there. There's an oil port right there. There'll be one on the other side as well. 150 drops. I'm sure that's an equivalent of something. Teaspoon, tablespoon, something like that. And I get to find that cap. You know what, I'm going to give this a good squeeze, and we're going to call that 150 drops. Can't be any worse than what it's been experiencing. This bandsaw had been driven very hard. It was being used in a furniture shop here in North Carolina. It was a small shop, but the guy was making huge volumes of pine furniture that he sold all up and down the East Coast, and even sold them into Ohio. We had a little bit of a conversation about that, and there's a pretty good chance that a piece of furniture we have was manufactured by this guy, and we got it as a gift back in Ohio. Okay, I think that that's going to be good. We just have to add this on to the list of maintenance that we'll have to do occasionally. And there we go. You might say to yourself, Self, why isn't this facing the other direction? Well, because the oil would leak out. So I guess it makes sense. I mean, that wasn't difficult once I figured out how to do it. Yeah, there's actually a place for a square nut here. I'm not against that. All right. All right. Lock that in place. I can't believe I recorded all that time lapse and wasn't even on screen. But you can see how we went from where it was coated in Cosmoline to where now at least it's clean. It has horrible milling marks where they ran this through, assuming something like a Blanchard grinder in order to make the bed flat and to make the two beds parallel to one another. But boy, it's really, really rough. And there's no way I'm going to be able to sand that to where it's not rough. But we'll make the best of it here. And with that, I'm going to turn you off so I can go back to listening to the Beach Boys. Hey Google, play the Beach Boys.
Got it. Here's the Beach Boys on Spotify.
20 minutes later.
A few more minutes of cleanup, and let's see where we stand. I know this is sort of like watching paint dry. Yeah, you can really see those swirl marks here. In fact, there's a line, a very distinct line, runs right down the middle here where the grinding lines overlap one another. And there's a spot here where their grinding wheel dug into the bed. Now, this is the sort of thing that if I had opened this package back in the 1980s when this was sold, probably would have had some complaints. There's a pretty good sized nick right there in the table. And I don't know, I guess we can't complain about the stains from the Cosmoline on the paint since it has been a couple years. I think we're past our warranty. All right, so it's now roughly a week later. My schedule finally permits me to be back in the shop, and I'm about to hit the Penetrol here with some 400 grit sandpaper. I'm going to follow it with some Scotch-Brite or 3M version of Scotch-Brite. This is roughly equivalent to what they would call 4-aught steel wool at the hardware store. I can tell you right now, the Penetrol on the Shopsmith jointer, this feels wonderful. It really feels great. I'm almost reluctant to even hit it with sandpaper. I might just go straight to the Scotch-Brite with that. This one, it's just unbelievable how rough it is due to the mill marks that are in it. So again, I'm not going to get through that without getting all the way through the Penetrol. So I'm not going to bother with that. What I am going to do is to make sure that I get rid of any high spots that were created by the Penetrol. So let's just do that real quick. So as I apply the paste wax, I had somebody say, "Hey, you didn't show us the label." You're right, I didn't show you the label. I've been in the process of using this product for about 6 months. It's amazing. It's also incredibly expensive. So there's nothing wrong with tree wax. There's nothing wrong with Minwax wax, paste wax. What you're looking for is a wax that has carnauba in it. But I'm telling you, this stuff is slicker than snot. So I will continue to use this. There you go. You've seen the label now. Oh my gosh. This is, I need to weigh these. This is at least 3 times the weight of the Shopsmith jointer fence. Gosh. Okay, now let's take a look at the belts and pulleys here. Belt and pulleys. So one thing that TotalShop, or the company in Taiwan, did was they did match, at least maybe try to match, the tapered flat that Shopsmith uses on their shafts, including on the jointer. And so what I'm going to need to do here, because my hole on my pulley is not the same diameter as the shaft, I'm having to use a spacer. This is a 17 millimeter to 3/4 inch spacer. That's not exactly 17, but that's the closest I can measure. So I have 2 set screws. One of these will go on the flat, one will go into the side of this. But there's also a slight angle. Let me put my wrench in here and you will see the angle. That's the angle that set screw is installed. So I'm going to make sure that I position this so that the angle kind of, maybe not exactly the same angle, but it will match the tapered flat. If I go the other way around like this, my set screw is going to be going down and it's not going to lock as well. Long term, I think I need to have a hole where my set screw is, because if I don't, then I kind of lose the advantage of the tapered flat. Another option would be to rotate to an area where I don't engage with that flat at all. Maybe that's the better choice. I'm thinking out loud here. You know, that is really designed for the use of the drive hub that Shopsmith designed, that they copied. I think I'm going to do that. I'm going to try this and see how well this engages, and do both of these. There's going to be, because it's not exactly a perfect fit, I'm going to get a little bit of wobble out of this once we start up the motor. I'm getting a little bit of wobble already just because of the spacer not being the same size. There we go. And we are tight. Next, I need to put the 6-inch pulley down here. This motor does have a keyway, and I have a key. Hopefully it's the right size of the keyway on the pulley. This needs to go in quite a ways, and I'm going to need to get a straight edge to make sure we're aligned, but actually it looks pretty good from here. There is a way of determining exactly how many links we need here. I don't math well, as some of you may know, so we're just going to do a quick eyeball of this, and I know one thing for sure is that it usually needs to be a bit tighter than we think, because these do stretch a bit. So I think this is the last link I want to keep. I'm going to twist that and pull these other parts off here. I just pulled that one through, twisting it with a pair of pliers. Now we can get that one. I think I held on to the right one. I'm going to pass it through the 2, and then I'm going to have to twist that link gently to pass it through here. Sometimes I can do this by hand, not always. All right, we got it close. Grab it with a pair of pliers. Got to be careful not to damage these. Sometimes they can be a little bit brittle. Yeah, just not going to be able to do that on camera. Okay, there you see, got it up. And we'll, whoop, don't go the wrong way, Scott. Let me rotate that around. Get that one? Nope, that one's coming back out now. There we go. All right, one thing we need to check, well, let's just check to see how close we are. Make sure we don't have to remove another link. And I feel like we probably should. Yeah, let's pull one more link out. Okay. I want to have to force this on, essentially. Now I'm going to put it on the small pulley, and I'm going to feed it around the large pulley, like so, and that should require a little bit of force to get it on. Here we go. That is installed. All right, earbuds are out now. Let's give this a listen. We're definitely seeing and hearing some vibration of that belt. I think that is 100% due to the misalignment of the motor. The motor needs to be adjusted, and the fact that this is a little out of flat. We got a protective film on here that needs to be removed. It's kind of warped anyway. And the depth of cut is adjusted the same as the Shopsmith joiner. There's a little indicator right here, and we'll turn this crank to move the table down. Oh. Oh my goodness. That is so stiff. I'm assuming that's a result of it sitting unused all those years. That little thing right there really is hurting my fingers. Oh. Okay. We're set for a 1/16 of an inch, roughly, depth of cut. We'll get rid of, we were using the shaper on this recently, so we'll use this. I mean, we're getting a nice smooth edge. So let's check it for square. And unfortunately, the board has got a heck of a bow in it. But there at the bottom, where it was against the fence, it is square. I have that chunk of cherry. Let's try it on the cherry. Let's hit that with a square, and that's more better. All right, so we set out at the beginning of this to answer a couple questions. The first one is, should Shopsmith make a 6-inch version of their jointer? Not if they're going to make it exactly the way they make them today, not just making it a heavier cast iron casting, because at 100 pounds, it's just too heavy. How about, could you buy one of these 6-inch jointers, these clones like the TotalShop, and use it on your Shopsmith? Well, yeah, you can make it work, but I can't lift the darn thing. It's 100 pounds. I'm telling you, I started this whole process out 2 weeks ago, and my shoulders and my wrists are still hurting from repeated lifting and moving of this darn pig. Now, then the last question is, could you mount it on a stand? Well, yeah, you could. I think we've proven that. It's a jointer that works as a jointer. It still doesn't have a dust chute. It still doesn't have a guard that works. I mean, this guard is just sitting on there. There's nothing to make this possible to work. Another question I had for myself is, could you put the plastic feather guard from Shopsmith onto this? And unfortunately, well, I guess you could. It would only cover 4 inches of your cut. So maybe if you left the fence within 4 inches of the front of the machine, but then at that point, why did you get a 6-inch jointer to begin with? If you're going to put it on a stand, you got to build or buy a stand, plus you're going to have to add the cost of the motor. So for me, if I needed a standalone 6-inch jointer, I'd just get myself a standalone 6-inch jointer. I wouldn't start with one of these and try to make it that unless you already own one. So I appreciate your questions, comments, cheap shots. I look forward to those. We'll answer those down in the comment section below, as well as at mygrowthrings.com. Jump over there if you want to get into some fun, deep conversations. Hey, over there, you can actually post pictures along with your comments. And I think that's awesome. So hope to see you there. And in the meantime, make it a great day.